Hello, fellow residents of Tamriel. It is Abiv welcoming you back once again to another video. This is the last DPS video that I've been needing to make. This is a Stamina Templar. I haven't had a chance to get around to making this one because of the new job. It has really been keeping me from making anything and doing much, to be honest with you. But I got the day off, so I wanted to make sure that I got this all tweaked out and put on the YouTube channel for you. So, starting off, let's look at our main stats, our character sheet here. 10,027 in maximum magicka, 19,377 maximum health, and our maximum stamina sits at 35,529 with a stamina recovery of 740. Weapon damage is 2842 with a weapon critical of 42.9%. Spell resistance at 16,589, physical at 13,949. When I switch to my dual wield bar, our stamina recovery does drop a little bit because of something that I have slotted, an ability that I have slotted, but weapon damage jumps up to 3,000, weapon critical sits at 41.7, and spell and physical resistance don't change either. We are running 64 points into our stamina. We are running the Shadow Mundus Stone, and we are using the braised rabbit and spring vegetables instead of lava foot soup or Artaeum takeaway broth for the max health and max stamina that it provides. That is why you've seen us sitting at 35,000 stamina and 19,000 health and having such a low recovery. With the Templar, it's not that big of a deal. We have an ability to generate stamina for ourselves, which doesn't make those other foods a requirement and gives us the ability to have a lot of maximum health in the process. So I like this build for this reason. Inventory-wise, this is going to be a little bit different than some of my other Stam characters you've seen as well. First off, we are using Advancing Yakita. This is a set that is found in the Craglorn Trials, like the Hellraw Citadel. So I'm using the two-handed battle axe from there. I do have a double dot poison on this. This is made with Alkahest, Fleshfly Larva, Nirnroot, and Nightshade. I am using the Maelstrom Bow. The Maelstrom Bow is infused with a weapon damage enchantment on it. I am using all three pieces of jewelry are my Advancing Yakita jewelry, all in Bloodthirsty, all with a weapon damage glyph on them. The Bloodthirsty isn't a necessity. If you have it in Robust or if you have it in Robust or Infused, any of them work quite well, or a combination of them work well also. You will have to transmute this jewelry though, because this is a heavy armor set out of there, so it's going to come with the healthy trait on it. So you will have to transmute this you'll have to transmute this to be able to, get out of it what you're looking to get out of it. I mean, if you want your DPS numbers to be a little bit lower and your health to be a little bit higher, even, you could leave the healthy traits on there. So it's completely up to you. I am using Reliquins. This is found in the Cloud Rest trial. This is the perfected version. The imperfected version is a great option as well. The only difference between the two is the imperfected version does not have the second 5-piece bonus, which is 1,096 maximum stamina. So not that big of a deal. You're not losing a whole lot from just having regular Reliquins on. So it's not that big of a deal. You can just get regular Reliquins. It's very easy to get into Cloud Rest now. It's They're forming groups for it in Craglorn every 15 minutes probably, and most people know how to do it at this point. So even if you don't know how, you'll be able to get into a group that does. They can explain it to you. It's very easy on normal, and you can get yourself some Reliquins, Cioria, Olame, or whatever you want out there. It's very very easy to get into. Hellraw Citadel is not hard to get into as well. You can find those in Craglorn, not as often as you can the normal Cloud Rest or the Sunspire right now, but you still find people running it, especially Vet. More than likely, in my opinion at least, Hellraw Citadel is the easiest veteran trial, as long as you're running with people that understand the mechanics and how to split up and where to go. And you can find those groups in Craglorn very easily, and after completing it, you'll get a gold jewelry drop, so it gives you a chance of being able to pick up this gold jewelry and having it gold. So, champion points: 40 Warlord, 5 in Sprinter for some reason, 75 Tenacity, 75 Mooncalf, 66 Tumbling, 9 in Shadow Ward. In our blue tree, 19 in Physical Weapons Expert, 56 in Master at Arms, 44 Thaumaturge, 56 Precise Strikes, 46 Piercing, 49 Mighty, Ironclad 72, Spell Shield 26, Medium Armor Focus 26, Hardy 49, Elemental Defender 49, Thick Skinned 48. Those are how I have them set up. You can put them in there how you like. That's just the way that I like to do it at the moment. Oh yeah, and our helm. Normally we're wearing Stormfist, but I got Celine's on this time because now Celine's, when you deal direct melee damage, you have a 15% chance to call out this bear. It can happen every 4 seconds. On some of my other builds, it's not prevalent to use. It's not the greatest helm to use in some of my other builds because they have damage over time. So we're using Wrecking Blow, which has that almost 1 second cast time or channel time to it. So you're not getting as much out of Celine on those builds, but with this one we are, because we're going to be using a lot of the biting jabs, which every time it hits, which it'll be a 4-time. When you use the ability, the biting jab goes off 4 times, so that's 4 times of a 15% chance that it goes off, and we kind of spam through that ability as well, so we get this bear to come out a good bit, so it is a better option than Stormfist. If you have trouble sustaining with this build and you want to stick with the blue food and keep your health, you can always move to Stormfist and get a little bit more stamina recovery out of the build. So a lot of different things that you can do with this to improve the way that it works for your playstyle. Now, skills on my bow bar. I am running Endless Hail for the 14-second duration it has. I'm going to be in my back bar a good bit, so I want this to stay up as long as possible and keep my glyph going off as much as possible on that bow for that extra weapon damage. Poison Injection. This ability has been nerfed down so much that it's almost useless. We're going to end up letting this fall off each rotation. It's not that big of a deal. It's really not. When you get into that... when you get into the execute phase portion of this, yeah, it is finally doing some better damage, but it's not a whole lot. So don't worry about this falling off. It's going to fall off, and it's not that big of a deal. If you were using the Master's Bow instead of the Maelstrom Bow, then you would want to try to get back and reapply this before it fell off. But since we're using the Maelstrom Bow, it's not that big of a deal if it falls off. We are using Barb Trap. This is a standard thing that you're going to see on all Stam builds now, or forever, because of it does physical damage, it does a lot of damage over time, and it's going to give you a minor force for more critical damage. I'm using Restoring Focus. Restoring Focus is just a spell and physical resistance buff when you call it out, and a recovery uh, buff as well, where you're getting back 240 stamina every 1 second. Now, the way like your stamina recovery works is that number that's on your stamina recovery. Let's say it's 700. If you have a recovery of 700, that means you gain back 700 of that stat or of that resource every 2 seconds. So with getting back 240 stamina every 1 second, and with the rotation I'm going to show you, you can have a 100% uptime on this. It's like adding 480 recovery to your stats. You're getting back 240 stamina every 1 second with this. Plus, when you stand inside of this as well, it grants you an additional 50% physical and spell resistance. So it gives you a huge amount of physical and spell resistance. So 24,509 in spell and 21,869 in physical. That makes you very, very hard to kill, especially with 19,000 health. So, and even if you call it out and walk outside of it, you're still at 21,869, 19,229. But we'll go back inside of it. While we're inside, bam, 24,509, 21,869. So this is a very awesome ability right here. It's going to give you back stamina. It's going to make you far less squishy in the process. And all around, it's really the ability that makes this build work so well, in my opinion, because of the stamina recovery that it's able to provide. Now, also, I'm using Repentance. I have this on this bar right here. This is just, when you can suck up the corpses on the ground and get yourself back 3,000 health and 3,000 stamina for each corpse nearby. 3,000 for all of your allies, and then it restores 3,000 stamina to you for each corpse nearby. So it's a good way after trash mobs to go right back to full stamina. While slotted, you gain major fortitude and minor fortitude, minor endurance, and minor intellect, increasing your health, stamina, and magical recovery by 10%. That's why on my front bar I have a little bit more stamina recovery on my back bar. Now, on my back bar, I'm running Ritual of Retribution. Yes, this does use Magicka, but it scales off of your highest offensive stat. Plus, it's a nice group utility as well. You're going to be giving fellow allies inside of this a synergy for them to purify, take negative effects off of themselves in the process, and heal themselves also for doing it. And if you're running with somebody that's running Locistes, or you're running with somebody that is, a tank that's running all costs, you're going to be able to help provide some secondary synergies with this as well. So it's really nice. I'm using Biting Jabs, 3,408 physical damage to the closest enemy, and it does splash damage to all enemies around too. So this is a great thing when in trash mobs, because it hits everything. Each strike reduces the movement speed of the closest enemy by 42%, and activating this ability grants you major savagery, increasing your weapon critical rating by 2191 for 8 seconds. Our potions are going to do this anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I am using Executioner. This is a huge hitting ability. Executioner is only going to be used during execute phase, obviously. And if you want, you could even switch this to Reverse Slice, I think it's referred to as, which does splash AoE damage to everything around. But being you have your biting jabs, which does the same exact thing, I think that's going to be a little bit more useful in trash mobs. Executioner will do more damage to things around them when you're hitting something that is in execute phase and you're splash damaging everything around it. But if you wanted to keep this and get the most out of it, you can keep it at executioner, and your biting jabs are a pretty good AOE. Power of Light. This is just an ability. When you throw it on, it does it deals damage, and then it copies all damage for 20 seconds and releases 20% of that damage as additional 20% of that as additional physical damage, and it caps out at 21,317. It also provides minor breach and minor fracture for 9 seconds as well. So with this rotation I'm going to show you, you can have almost a 100% uptime on minor breach and fracture in the process as well. And this copies a ton of damage. It really does. I've watched this crit for like 50k or 45k or something like that. I have Restoring Focus on this bar as well. This is where I'm usually using the Restoring Focus. I'm calling it out on this bar. I have it on both bars, just for the simple fact, if I forget it on my back bar, I can throw it down on my front bar. It technically could be a flex slot on the front bar. If you wanted to put something different here, you could. This is just how I have it, and I haven't messed with it too much. So, but I'm going to be calling out using this on my back bar, and the main reason for that is I'm staying off my front bar as often as I'm getting through my front bar as quickly as possible and getting back to my back bar before the 5-piece bonus on the Advancing Yokita falls off, because I'm using that Maelstrom bow, so I have to be quick on that front bar and get back to my back bar so that I'm keeping up that 5-piece bonus from the Advancing Yokita, which is stamina, or not stamina, critical, weapon critical. So it'll help keep my weapon critical up at all times as long as I'm getting through it real quick. My ultimates I'm using, Flawless Dawnbreaker on the front bar. This is just your standard, not going to use it too often ultimate right here. Maybe in trash mobs you use it or whatnot, but for the most part I'm not using that. I'm using this Empowering Sweep. It deals 9367 physical damage to all enemies nearby, and an additional 4430 physical damage every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. The duration is extended by 2 seconds for each enemy hit. Gain Empowered for the duration, increasing the damage of your light attacks by 40%. So if you use this in a trash mob, you're extending that duration. Or if you're using it in an ad phase on a boss, where you could hit multiple things with it, you're going to extend the duration of that damage over time, and extend the duration of the Empowered that it provides as well. So the rotation is pretty simple. We're going to start off and we're going to drop down our Restoring Focus. We're going to hit our potion, which is a weapon power potion, which is weapon damage, weapon critical, and stamina back all at once. That is, to make those, it's Lorcan's Tears, Blessed Thistle, Dragon Thorn, and Wormwood. So dropping Restoring Focus, hitting our potion, doing Light Attack Endless Hail, Light Attack Poison Injection, Light Attack Barbed Trap, Bar Swap. We're going to do a fully charged heavy attack and then call out Ritual of Retribution. Then Light Attack Power of Light, Light Attack Jabbing, Biting Jabs 4 times. So Light Attack Biting Jab, Light Attack Jab, Light Attack Jab, Light Attack Jab. Then Light Attack Power of Light again, Light Attack Restoring Focus, Bar Swap, and start over. So if you do this rotation correctly, you will keep up your Restoring Focus at all times. You will keep up your Berserking Warrior bonus at all times, and you will be keeping up the Power of Light. Um, you'll have this on almost at all times as well. It'll be just falling off as you're reapplying it again. So that's kind of what I centered this rotation around. So let's go ahead and do the rotation and show you how this works. And we're gonna call out our ultimate on the back bar as often as possible. Now that heavy attack that I'm doing too, it's pretty crucial in helping keep up your stamina as well. Now we're entering execute phase, so we're just going for execute now. Alright, so 42,180. That is it's really good DPS, especially when you take into consideration it's really good DPS especially when you take into consideration that our physical penetration capped out at 7,812. So that is about real close to 11,000 under. So when you are looking at when you are looking at the what are those numbers? Anyway, when you are looking at having a tank in here with me, those numbers are actually going to go into like the 46, 47k range. And as you're, if they're applying all caution, it's going to go higher. If you're getting combat prayer or you're getting minor courage or major courage or both or whatever, you're going to, those numbers are only going to climb, plain and simple. So you'll see a top slot right there on my damage report on abilities. Ideal Arms of Reliquin did the most damage during that whole fiasco right there, which is it's aggravating to see. The gear set that I'm using is what does more damage than my abilities. It's crazy, but whatever. But Biting Jabs came in right behind that. Executioner, even though we only used it 9 times, came in at in third place because of how much it was hitting for, and it averaged 36k a slice and maxed out at 50 plus k right there. Power of Light came in just under our light attacks. I mean, every ability that we do here is doing a good bit of damage. So this setup is really good. I like this a lot. You'll see that we sat in our weapon critical range sat at 62%, and our critical damage sits at 109%. Now, 68.2% of the damage done was critical, 31.8% was normal. These numbers right here, 49.5% critical damage done, 50 or critical hits, 50% not critical hits. I know that doesn't fall in line with that 62% right there, but you have to take into consideration the Reliquins right here will never crit. So that's 101 of those, 101 damages that went off during this parse that were not critical damages. And another 6 from the Selene. So 107 of these 274 were normal damage because they can't possibly crit. So when you take those out of the equation, you see that this number becomes a little closer to this, even better, to be honest with you. But that's why this number here is not going to be close to this number here. Our Berserking Warrior, we had up 92% of the time. So basically, the amount of time it took me to get to the back bar and get it all the way up to 5 was the difference right there. Other than that, it stayed up all the time. The the first Berserking Warrior was up 97% of the time. Times 2 was up 95, yeah. So just getting it all the way up to 5 after starting the parse and it not starting off immediately, having to wait to get to that back bar, that's the difference there. Why it doesn't have a high, that's why that number is at, 92%. But you see there, I used blue food. I didn't have any type of stamina recovery. I used a combination of that rune that I put on the ground and the heavy attacks once a rotation to keep up my stamina. I had no problem sustaining through that 3 million dummy and did 42,000 damage to that dummy. Now this particular setup right here, I've ran this on the Trial Atronach. I'm not going to bore you to sit here and through it while I do it. It hits on the Trial Atronach. I've hit 72 to 73,000 with it. It normally sticks in that range. And if you're doing that much damage in a trial situation, you're plenty good enough to come play on my team. So really nice build. I like this. It's a little bit different than some of the other things that I've at least done, or maybe other people have seen. We're not using the standard Reliquins and Locistes. This outperforms the Locistes. I've wore Locistes with this, and Locistes with this on the Trial Atronach pulls about 70. So this setup right here is a little bit better than your typical Reliquins Locistes setup. So I thought that was kind of neat. I thought it was kind of cool. It kind of only works with this Templar than some of the other classes because of the Templar's abilities, passives and whatnot. The critical damage done. So I keep that critical up all the time. Where all that extra critical that helps out and does more damage. And I'm not going to go through all of them, to be honest with you, but it just works very well for this Templar. I'm trying not to take up too much of your time here, guys. Real quick, I have all my class passives filled in, all my 2-hand and bow passives filled in, all my medium armor and my first 3 in heavy armor. I have all my Fighters Guild filled in, all my Undaunted filled in, all of my racials filled in, and I make sure I have 3 points in medicinal use so my potions stay up 100% of the time. I hadn't went over that before, so apologies for that, but I think that's all I'm going to bother you guys with. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and this is going to be a pretty hard to kill build right here. Almost 20k in health. When you're standing in that rune, you got over 21k physical resistance and over 25k in spell resistance. I mean, that's you're going to mitigate a lot of damage with those and the red tree combined, the way that I showed you that I do it. And with that 20k, you're going to be able to do some content with this build right here. You're going to be able to do a lot of DPS. You're going to be able to sustain yourself with your own stamina. The one problem you may run into in longer boss fights is the ritual of retribution. It does take magicka, and it takes a lot of magicka. If if you find yourself running low on magicka, um, in boss fights, not being able to call that out because you're not you're just not regenerating it fast enough, which I feel could end up being a problem, honestly, especially in long fights if you don't have any type of magicka sustain being given back to you, even though you are a Templar, or even though you are a Stam character. But if if you're getting shards, it's not going to be that big of a deal. If somebody's providing minor magic steal, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But if you're in a group where you're having trouble sustaining the magicka because of how costly the ritual is, you can always switch out ritual for your consuming trap. And the consuming trap costs about half as much magicka. It doesn't do as much damage as the ritual does, and doesn't provide the synergies and whatnot that ritual does, but it still does good damage. You only lose about 1,500 to 2k, or about 1,500 damage at most on your parses from switching between them. So if you're having trouble sustaining with your Magico using the ritual of retribution, you can always just switch it out for consuming trap. Plus, consuming trap does give you back stamina and health and Magico when a target that it's applied to dies. So that's always kind of cool as well. So you can do what you like with it there. That's the great part about it. But I'm not going to waste your guys' time anymore. Thank you very much for. My kids just came home. Dog's going to start barking. Um, Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate it greatly. I was trying to get through this as quick as possible. Hopefully I did. If you guys liked it, please hit the like button. I'd appreciate that greatly. And happy adventuring, everyone.